Hey there, babe, you wanna play? Talking about nothing all damn day. Random thoughts like a hurricane. We're spinning wild, can't explain. Pod talking crazy, yeah, we're flying loose. Pour a shot of chaos, let's cut it loose. Flip the switch, let's ride the muse. Pod vibes hit hard with the perfect juice.
All right, buckle up, you magnificent bastards, because today we're taking a deep dive into something truly special. Something that, completely defied all expectations and gave us a bunch of absolute legends.
Right.
We're talking about the Justice League International, or the JLI, as we lovingly call these chaotic motherfuckers.
Oh, yeah.
This isn't your Grandpappy's Justice League, that's for damn sure.
Precisely. I mean, for decades, the Justice League of America was the flagship team, right?
Yeah.
The absolute all-star ensemble.
Totally. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, the whole damn pantheon.
Yeah.
The big guns.
Exactly. But then by the mid-1980s, things got a little fucked up for DC.
A little.
Okay, seriously fucked up. A proper comic book clusterfuck happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, you said it. It was a complete disaster zone over there for a while. And the sources we've dug through for you today got some killer insights from places like TV Tropes, various YouTube analyses. They really lay it all out. We're going to unpack how this team of B-listers, just a bunch of misfits and relative unknowns, turned into this unlikely masterpiece.
Right.
And how they forever changed the damn game. So our mission, should you choose to accept it, is to cut through the crap and show you exactly why this particular era of the Justice League was so damn impactful, so human, and honestly, so goddamn funny, even when it suddenly pulled the rug out from under you and got dark as hell.
It's a story of overcoming adversity, not just for the characters themselves, but for the creators. They were handed this seemingly impossible brief.
Totally impossible.
And what's truly fascinating here is how the limitations they faced, those handcuffs they were put in, actually forced them to forge something truly unique and enduring. It's kind of a testament to creative resilience, really.
Couldn't agree more.
So, yeah. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. Let's do this.
Okay, let's unpack this whole chaotic mess.
Yeah.
Because before the JLI ever graced our comic shelves, DC Comics was, to put it mildly, having a rough time.
Yeah.
A really rough time.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly.
We're talking about the lingering aftermath of the infamous DC implosion back in 1978. 40% of their damn titles were canceled. Just gone.
40%. Imagine that.
Think about that for a second. Imagine a company just chopping almost half of its product line because sales were circling the drain faster than, I don't know, a politician's career.
Pretty much. They were losing readers hand over fist to Marvel. Marvel was just absolutely kicking ass at the time, Their character-driven stuff, more relatable heroes.
Oh, yeah. They had the formula down.
It was a brutal, brutal period for the industry, a veritable bloodbath. DC was bleeding readers, bleeding revenue, and they needed something, anything, to stop that flow.
Right. Desperate times.
So in 1985, they launched what was supposed to be the ultimate universe-shaking fix, Crisis on Infinite Earths.
The big one.
The biggest one. A massive, unprecedented crossover event designed to streamline the entire DC universe. The idea was ditch the long-established multiverse, all those alternate Earths, the convoluted timelines for one singular, unified continuity.
Which, okay, sound like a brilliant move on paper, right?
Yeah.
A grand reboot to fix all the continuity snarls, make things fresh, accessible for new readers.
Yeah.
Maybe bring back some old ones.
Exactly. An editorial directive of immense scale. Simplify everything.
Yeah, on paper, sounds perfectly reasonable.
Yeah.
Reboot the main characters, fresh starts for everyone involved, clean slate. But here's where it gets really interesting and, frankly, a bit of a bureaucratic mess for the Justice League itself. Because this was the moment it started to get real fucked up for our new team. This wasn't just a simple continuity cleanup. Crisis was huge. This editorial directive of unprecedented scale.
Right. And the ambition meant that individual character reboots like Superman's Man of Steel were seen as sacrosanct. They needed absolute creative control from their designated teams.
Exactly. Untouchable.
Indeed. So the fallout from Crisis meant almost every major DC character was getting a fresh origin or complete revamp. A new creative team defining them for a new era.
You had John Byrne meticulously retelling Superman's story in Man of Steel, giving him that grounded, modern sensibility.
Right. And George Perez was busy with his iconic, powerful relaunch of Wonder Woman, redefining her for a new generation.
Which was awesome.
Totally. And Mike Baron was introducing Wally West as the new Flash, carrying on that legacy. So the editors were super protective of these flagship characters, saw them as integral to rebuilding the entire DC universe.
Like precious jewels.
Pretty much. Not to be touched or shared by some other team book.
So enter our heroes. Writers Keith Giffen and J.M. DeMatteis, along with artist Kevin Maguire. They get tasked with reinventing the Justice League.
The big job.
You can just imagine them in the bullpen, probably salivating, thinking, oh, hell yeah, we're getting the big seven back together.
Yeah.
Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, the whole damn crew. This is our shot.
Of course, that's the dream gig.
But then the mandate comes down, clear as a goddamn bell. And it must have been a kick straight to the nuts. Hands off. No Superman, no Wonder Woman, no Flash. Not even Aquaman or Hal Jordan. Talk about being pissed off before you even started a project. You're handed the keys to the Justice League, the premier team, and they tell you, oh, by the way, all the cool popular toys, yeah, they're off limits.
What kind of bullshit is that for a creative team trying to revive a flagging franchise?
Seriously.
It was a significant, unexpected blow. I mean, it could have easily doomed the project right there.
Yeah.
Editor Andy Helfer, he famously summed up their predicament, saying, "Destiny not, and no one was home."
Perfect quote. What a kick in the nuts.
Right. Giffen especially saw this as the biggest opportunity of his career. And suddenly, his grand plans to reunite the original iconic lineup completely scuppered, just gone.
Fucked up.
They were essentially forced to assemble an all-new team. The only original JLA members they could get their hands on were Martian Manhunter and, almost as an afterthought, Batman.
Batman was an afterthought. Almost.
Almost. A truly last-minute addition. Apparently, editor Denny O'Neil took pity on them after seeing how limited their options were, which is even funnier when you think about the tone of comics back then.
Right. And this, my friends, this is precisely where the genius pivot happens. Because this was the mid-'80s, remember? The so-called dark age of comics.
Oh, yeah. Grim and gritty central.
This was the era that gave us Watchmen, The Killing Joke, The Dark Knight Returns. Everything was grim, gritty, dark, introspective, morally ambiguous as hell.
Totally. The industry was obsessed with making superheroes mature, taking them to their darkest possible depths. Deconstruction, morally gray areas, tragic consequences, all that jazz.
It was everywhere.
Exactly. The prevailing tone was somber, serious, often pretty violent, pushing boundaries. And into this bleak, brooding landscape, Giffen had what he called his great idea.
Which was?
Instead of going darker, which was the overwhelming trend, they decided to go lighter and softer.
Seriously?
Seriously, it was a deliberate, almost rebellious choice, a creative act of defiance. They decided to turn the Justice League into a superhero comedy, a superhero sitcom.
Wow. Against the grain.
Totally. A sudden, unexpected breath of fresh air in a very, very dark room. They basically looked at all the grim and gritty bullshit and said, nah, fuck that. We're going to do the exact opposite.
And holy shit, did it ever work like a charm? Because it wasn't just like simple gags or forced satire, you know.
No, not at all.
The humor, as our sources point out, arose organically from the characters.
Yeah.
It wasn't about cheap laughs. It was about their distinct personalities, their ridiculous flaws, their completely believable, often frustrating human interactions.
Exactly. And Kevin Maguire's art was absolutely crucial here. His deeply expressive characters, those convincingly expressive faces, man, he sold the comedy.
Oh, totally. He nailed it.
A raised eyebrow, a frustrated sigh, a deadpan stare, he got it all. This visual storytelling let the jokes land with real impact, building from the characters themselves.
And that sharp contrast with all the grimdark crap out there just made the humor pop even more, made it feel truly unique, memorable, fresh.
It truly did. And the fundamental foundation for this character-driven humor was what editor Andy Helfer called the fraternity idea.
Fraternity. Like frat boys.
Well, kinda. He explained that the JLI became a place where heroes can take their masks off and let their hair down.
Okay, I get.
And be human for a change and, in effect, be like us. That was the crucial insight. It wasn't just about heroes fighting villains 24/7.
Right. It was downtime. Bullshit sessions.
Exactly. It was about heroes dealing with each other, with their own neuroses, with the mundane and absurd pace of their lives, making these larger-than-life figures relatable, showing them doing laundry, arguing over bills, having terrible dates.
Like us, minus the superpowers, mostly.
Right. This approach brought that everyman problem you see in, like, Spider-Man or X-Men right into the Justice League, which had always been about these godlike figures operating on a cosmic scale.
Yeah, it peeled back the curtain, showed the screw-ups underneath the spandex. The glorious, hilarious screw-ups. So, with the A-listers totally off the table, Giffen, DeMatteis, and Maguire got to work assembling this truly ragtag bunch of motherfuckers for their initial lineup.
Ragtag is the word.
This wasn't some perfectly balanced tactical squad. It was unique, to say the least. And this is where the genius of their character work truly shines, I think.
Absolutely. It allowed for these deep dives into personalities that might have been completely overshadowed in a traditional Justice League setting.
Totally.
Yep.
Let's start with the big one, Batman. He was the only main hero that editor Denny O'Neil took pity on them and let them use.
Which is still hilarious.
Right. And in this iteration, he serves as the only sane man. Later, maybe reluctantly, the Spock of the team.
Definitely the Spock. Stoic, serious counterpoint to all the absolute chaos. The one you could count on for gravitas. Or the death glare.
Oh, the glare. We see him using his classic death glare to force a rampaging Guy Gardner to sit down and shut the hell up.
Iconic moment.
Just pure unyielding presence, even amongst total lunatics. It was a hilarious subversion, wasn't it? Even Batman, the Dark Knight, found himself dealing with superhero shenanigans that just tested his last nerve.
You might not have been cracking jokes, but his deadpan reactions, pure comedic gold, the ultimate straight man.
Then you had Martian Manhunter, John Johns. He was the sole connection to the previous Justice League iteration. Initially, he was also filling that Spock role alongside Batman, trying to be the voice of reason.
Yeah, the adult in the room. Or alien.
But what's fascinating here is how they humanized him, even with his alien stoicism. His character arc included becoming, well, infamously addicted to caviar and Oreos.
The Oreos.
Yeah.
And the caviar together.
I mean, seriously, picture that. The solemn Martian manhunter, the last survivor of his race, meticulously dipping an Oreo cookie into a jar of black caviar. It's truly bizarre.
Utterly memorable.
Just makes you go, what the actual fuck?
He went from being super serious to having this ridiculous, delightful vice that anchored him to the human world in the most unexpected way. And he became the official leader later, right? When Batman stepped down.
Yeah, which was probably a massive headache for him, given the team he was managing. Poor John.
And then there's Guy Gardner.
Yeah.
Green Lantern III. Oh, Guy.
Oh, Guy. Where do we even start with this asshat?
The rough-necked Green Lantern, perpetually hot-tempered and famously crude. Just abrasive.
He was the ultimate leader wannabe who would challenge Batman to a fight, and in maybe the most iconic moment of the entire run.
Gets knocked out with one punch.
One punch. Bam.
Oh.
Down he goes. A single devastating punch that left him on the floor, much to the absolute delight of everyone else on the team.
Oh, they loved it.
His berserk buttons were legendary. Communism, Hal Jordan not being the leader of the JLI, Batman, discipline, criticism, basically everything.
Pretty much anything could set him off. His personality was so over the top. His brilliant but lazy willpower made him potentially one of the most powerful Green Lanterns ever.
Right. Theoretically.
But his perpetually pissed off attitude and that monumental ego often stopped him from reaching that potential. Total blockhead.
He even got identity amnesia after a second tap on the head, didn't he? Became like super nice.
Yeah, temporarily became a nice guy interested in poetry and stuff. It was weird. Before eventually, and mercifully for us readers, returning to his usual jerk with a heart of gold self.
Thank God.
It was a beautiful Flanderization that the creators even lampshaded later. They just leaned into his absurd yet oddly endearing personality. He was the ultimate anti-hero, just a complete and utter asshat, but our asshat.
Exactly. Next up, Blue Beetle 2, Ted Cord. This guy was a recent acquisition from Charlton Comics when DC bought those characters.
Right, one of the Charlton crew.
He was a stealthy acrobat with high-tech equipment, kind of like Batman, but without the brooding or the billions.
Yeah.
Much lighter, more slapstick.
And he quickly became Booster Gold's best friend, partner in wacky hijinks.
Oh God, those two. Like a superhero Abbott and Costello. Pure chaos.
He was often a big eater, too, constantly struggling with his weight, which is just so damn relatable, isn't it?
Totally. A superhero worried about his waistline. Love it. He was also a Casanova wannabe who hilariously failed to pick up women, even in costume.
Didn't he fail in, like, under a minute once?
Yeah. The sources mention him famously failing to seduce a French woman in 46 seconds while Booster Gold just laughed his ass off at him. Brutal.
But don't let the goofiness fool you. He was unknowingly brainwashed into a sleeper agent in BWAHA.
Oh, yeah, it got dark.
And nearly takes out the entire league single-handedly when activated. Impressed even Batman with his skills.
Shows he wasn't just jokes. He was the one who frequently said that there's nothing as good as humor to relax an otherwise conflicting situation.
Yeah.
Which was basically the JLI motto, right?
Pretty much summed it up.
Then we had Mr. Miracle, scot-free.
Yeah.
Another fascinating addition, like a super high-concept character dropped into this sitcom.
Right. World's greatest escape artist, son of High Father, raised on Apocalypse by Granny Goodness. I mean, that's a seriously fucked up origin story.
Totally. Which the JLI humor often just kind of glanced over for laughs.
And his manager, Oberon, the head desk personified. Tiny, grumpy old man constantly dealing with the team's relentless goofiness, trying to keep Scott on schedule for his escape acts. Hilarious.
And his relationship with Big Barda, the giant, powerful new god warrior.
Yeah.
They were hilariously sickening sweethearts.
Oh, yeah, with frequent allusions to their active and healthy sex life, always hinting at it.
They were like the ultimate power couple, but in this totally suburban, wholesome yet suggestive way, just living their best domestic life on Earth while occasionally punching villains through walls.
Perfect combo.
We also had Black Canary, Dinah Lance, portrayed as a strong feminist, a real no-nonsense hero who often found herself just exasperated by the sheer idiocy surrounding her.
She had her hands full.
Predictably, she often clashed with chauvinist Guy Gardner. Some seriously straw feminist moments there that, okay, maybe a product of their time, but definitely led to some explosive dialogue.
Oh, for sure. Sparks flew.
And of course, she absolutely hates to be a damsel in distress, which, fair enough, who the hell would want to be? She was a much-needed voice of reason and strength amidst all the madness.
Definitely grounded the team a bit more.
Captain Marvel, Billy Batson, was included too, but portrayed with a distinct childlike personality, reflecting the actual kid, Billy, in the big red body, not like a separate mature personality for Captain Marvel.
Yeah, they leaned into the kid aspect.
Unfortunately for his fans, he was often the butt monkey of the team. His naive optimism was constantly joked about by the other, more cynical members.
Poor Billy. Too innocent for this crew of asshats.
Then there was Dr. Fate. Initially, Kent and Inza Nelson, master mystics, absolute powerhouses, capable of incredible magic, but they served pretty briefly.
Yeah, barely there.
Dr. Fate was a shoo-out the new guy twice, appeared on the first issue cover but barely showed up in the actual comics. Weird bait and switch.
Then later his legacy passed to Linda and Eric Strauss, whose relationship was bizarrely described as adopted son turned husband. Ew.
Ew is right. Seriously, what the actual hell was going on there with that weirdness? Only in comics, I swear to God. What a fucked up situation.
So messed up.
And finally, Dr. Light Theory, Kinyo Hoshi. Brilliant Japanese physicist, light powers, vital in crisis, a formidable hero.
Right. She was a big deal in Crisis.
In the JLI, though, she had this cold exterior, kind of an ice queen vibe, an insufferable genius who could be sardonically callous.
She had a tough edge.
She experienced a profound break-the-haughty moment later during Blackest Night when her evil predecessor just dismantles everything about her life, which was brutal. But in the JLI, she was mostly that formidable but sometimes aloof intellectual.
Still, despite that frosty demeanor, she was ultimately a jerk with a heart of gold, right? A fierce mama bear for her kids and her teammates. Very protective when it counted.
Yeah, definitely. But like Dr. Fate, she was another shoo-out the new guy. Played a minor role in costume. Left early despite being on early promo stuff.
Seems like they weren't sure what to do with some of them initially.
But she chose to keep the villainous Dr. Light's name to prove Light could be good again.
Which is pretty badass, actually. A true reclamation.
That is pretty cool, taking the name back.
So the core team was established, this weird, wonderful bunch. But the JLI was a constantly evolving beast, wasn't it? Almost like a revolving door of misfits.
Totally. New faces, new fights, and let's be real, a lot more fucked up situations for this bunch of goofballs to stumble into.
Oh yeah, the chaos just kept expanding.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And two of the most beloved additions who became absolutely iconic for this run were the bestest super buddies, Fire and Ice.
Yes. Fire and Ice. They were inseparable, weren't they? The ultimate red Oni, blue Oni duo. Their friendship was truly the heart of the team for so many readers. Just pure chemistry.
Fire, Beatriz da Costa, former Brazilian secret agent, gained mystic fire powers. She was the definition of a spicy Latina, radiating fiery sensuality,
Yeah.
often seen wearing very revealing outfits.
Yeah, Maguire definitely enjoyed drawing her costume.
And her fire, get this, was Technicolor fire, specifically green, which is just cool as hell.
And Fire is awesome. She was a total action girl, too. Later even trained by Batman in hand-to-hand combat.
Right. And her powers got repowered after the Invasion crossover.
Yeah.
Went from just a limited breath weapon to full-body flames. Became almost a distaff counterpart to the Human Torch in terms of power set.
Big upgrade. And she's famous for her documented rivalry with Guy Gardner. Just constant, hilarious frustration for her.
Oh, God, yes. Which led to her abject despair when Ice, her best friend, actually started dating him. Can you imagine you're dating that asset?
Ah, the ultimate betrayal. Haha. And here's a darker twist. She was revealed to be a tyke bomb raised as an assassin.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, admitted in one poignant moment that she believes she's going to hell for this. Talk about internal conflict. Surprising depth for a character initially introduced for laughs.
Damn, that adds a layer. Okay, and then there was Ice, Tora Olosdottir, Norwegian Roma heir, ice powers, inherited the Ice Maiden mantle.
She was the gentle girl to Guy's brooding boy, a crucial morality pet for him, the only one who seemed to consistently see his secret nice side.
If it even existed.
Hey, she saw it. She had those innocent blue eyes, was an ingenue with wide-eyed idealist views, almost too pure for the team, really.
So their relationship, it was a classic all girls want bad boys thing for Guy.
Yeah.
Right? But for her, it was genuinely about the rare glimpses of Guy's hidden kindness.
That's how it was played, yeah. She developed a bit of a clingy jealous girl streak with Guy, though, and previously had this unrequited crush on Superman.
Awkward.
Tragically, she was later killed off for real by the Overmaster in a truly shocking moment, just brutal.
Oh, I remember that. Gut punch.
But then, comics being comics, she was resurrected under strange circumstances years later, which understandably caused her to took a level in cynic and suffer from agoraphobia. Poor Tora.
Yeah, that'll mess you up. But their Fire-Rays duo was iconic, often the red Oni, blue Oni of the team, providing both the sass and the sweetness.
Perfect balance.
And who could forget Booster Gold? Michael John Carter, this motherfucker, the first for-profit superhero.
A concept way ahead of its time. Brilliant.
Born in the 25th century, a ruined football star who, instead of wallowing, steals high-tech gear, flees to our era to become famous and cash in on heroism. What a plan.
Gotta admire the hustle. He quickly became best friends with Blue Beetle, and together, these two absolute clowns got into all kinds of wacky hijinks and get-rich schemes.
Constantly. They were constantly broke, leading to hilarious freelance hero jobs or these grand get-rich-quick schemes like Club JLI.
The casino on a living island.
Picture this. They invested all the league's funds, which were probably like $50 and some lint into this ludicrous venture, and nearly lost everything.
Their cool and unusual punishment for that. Being forced to clean the entire embassy, starting with Guy Gardner's room.
Which was probably a literal biohazard zone, just punishment.
Booster, of course, was also a Casanova wannabe. Remember the French woman. Failed to seduce her in 46 seconds.
Yes. Well, Ted Cord just laughed his ass off. Classic Booster. But despite his glory-seeking nature, he usually did the right thing when it truly mattered. There was a hero under the ego.
Eventually. Usually after trying everything else first. He even once quit the team to start up the conglomerate, his own corporate-sponsored superhero team. Shows his ambition never quit.
Captain Atom, Nathaniel Atom, was another key addition. More traditional, government-sponsored hero type.
Right, the military guy. Subject of a secret military experiment, got incredible powers, catapulted decades into the future. Standard stuff.
He was appointed to the JLI as America's official representative, specifically meant to counter the Russian Rocket Red, that whole Cold War dynamic playing out.
He was often the only sane man for Justice League Europe, wasn't he? Trying to be the reasonable authority figure amidst the absurdity over there.
Yeah, good luck with that. He eventually grew tired with the League's reactive tactics and formed his own team, Extreme Justice. Basically said, fuck this bullshit, I'm out.
Can't blame him. Too straight-laced for this particular asylum.
Now, let's talk about the Rocket Reds, our chummy commies and Russian badasses.
Hokey smokes.
Exactly. First, there was Rocket Red #7, Vladimir Mikoyan. He turned out to be a mole for the Manhunters.
Oh, right, the mole. Didn't last long.
Nope. Had a brief but memorable run where he dies destroying their ship in a suicide attack. What a way to go out for a literal double agent. Fucked up.
Then came Rocket Red #4, Dmitry Pushkin. He replaced Mikoyan and became a total fan favorite.
Dmitry, yes. The quintessential jovial Russian soldier.
Yeah.
A true chummy commie.
Huge fan of Western culture, famously learning English from Rocky and Bullwinkle, hence his utterly charming character catchphrase, Hokey smokes.
Love it. He was a nice guy, a boisterous bruiser, and happily married. Became heterosexual life partners with Animal Man, which was such an unlikely but heartfelt bond.
It really was. And he made a profound heroic sacrifice during the OMAC project, didn't he? Used his suit's self-destruct to save his old JLI buddies.
Yeah. His last words, "My wife and children, Michael. Tell them I love them." Just, damn, gut punch again.
He's also the one who got early bird camoed by Black Canary kicking him in the face, remember? Left him with a missing tooth his wife apparently found sexy.
Yes. Pure JLI absurdity and heart right there. Sexy missing tooth.
And later there was Rocket Red, #8 Gavril Ivanovich, introduced in Justice League, Generation Lost. He resigned from the Rocket Red Brigade out of disgust with Russia's continuing westernization. Already sounds like fun.
Oh yeah, barrel of laughs. He's another boisterous bruiser and the blacksmith who builds and repairs his own powered armor. But here's the kicker. He's a total hypocrite.
How so?
Constantly railing against westernization, capitalism, democracy. But then reveals himself as an ascended fanboy of the JLI, jumping with glee at the chance to team up.
No way. That's hilarious.
Right. He's a nice guy. Despite his professed hatred of the West, capitalism, and democracy, just delightful cognitive dissonance. Another example of how this series reveled in its characters' contradictions.
Love it. Finally, Tasmanian Devil, Hugh Dawkins. He was the League's first openly gay member, which was a significant progressive step for mainstream comics back then. Quietly introduced, no big fanfare.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Australian hero, mutant ability to morph into an aggressive furry monster, a literal Tasmanian devil.
In human form, he's a technical pacifist trying to avoid conflict, but transforms into a volatile Tasmanian devil with razor-sharp claws and fangs when pushed.
Tragically, in a later, much darker storyline, he was killed by Prometheus and turned into a rug. Just,
Turned into a rug? Jesus Christ, that's fucked up.
Seriously fucked up. Grotesque and shocking.
Yeah.
But thankfully, resurrected in a Lazarus pit because, comics can't keep a good Taz down.
Thank God for Lazarus Pits, I guess. He was a straight gay character, right? His sexuality was present, but not his defining characteristic.
Exactly. And he left the team after Ice's death due to the general disorganization and heartbreak that followed. Hashtag adventures in absurdity, and occasional seriously fed up shit. So you've got this insane lineup of characters, this constantly growing cast of misfits, goofballs, and surprisingly competent heroes. And what do? They dive headfirst into adventures that are this truly unique blend of sheer absurdity and, occasionally some seriously fucked up shit.
It was the magic formula. This wasn't just a superhero team. It was a superhero sitcom in comic book form. And the situations they got into were legendary.
Absolutely. You had these truly mundane, yet hilariously relatable superhero sitcom moments mixed right in with the superheroics. Like
Guy Gardner and Ice's painfully awkward first date at an ice show. Remember that? Guy's brutish attempts at romance were just cringe and hilarious.
Oh, God, yeah. And the heroes going to French school. Because, international team, got to learn the local language for the Parisian embassy. Imagine Batman, Blue Beetle, and Booster Gold in a classroom struggling with conjugations.
Pure gold. And of course, the classic Blue Beetle and Booster Gold building Club JLI, the casino on a living island.
Their sheer entrepreneurial ineptitude combined with their boundless optimism. It led to constant chaos, nearly losing all the League's funds in one ludicrous scheme after another. What a pair of asshats.
Total lovable asshats, though.
And my personal favorite example of their absurdity. A 2-issue crossover storyline dealing with mayhem at both their embassies caused by an alley cat.
An alley cat, yes.
A damn alley cat. Not a supervillain, not an alien invasion, but a rogue feline causing international incidents by just being a normal, destructive cat. The sources note this was a complete, absurd 2-issue storyline where the heroes were trying to catch this little menace.
Who the hell thinks of that for the Justice League? That's the kind of brilliant bullshit only the JLI could pull off.
Exactly. And the villains were often just as ridiculous, perfectly fitting the comedic tone. They had harmless villains and ineffectual sympathetic villains like the Injustice League.
Oh, the Injustice League. They were so incompetent, so utterly useless at being evil that they later tried to be heroes.
But Max Lord reassigned them to Antarctica.
Where they were then attacked by mutant penguins? I'm not even making that up.
Mutant penguins. It perfectly encapsulates the bizarre yet consistent tone they maintained. Glorious bullshit.
What made this all work so well, however, was the profound mood whiplash the comic could deliver.
Oh yeah, big time.
Precisely because of its light comedic tone, when it got serious, it hit you like a cosmic fucking hammer. Made the serious arcs all the more shocking and impactful.
Totally. Take Despero's Return. He was a classic, very serious, incredibly powerful villain from the original JLA, a cosmic tyrant.
No jokes there.
This is a very serious arc. The League, despite all their goofiness, faced a genuine universe-threatening menace. They only survived because Martian Manhunter used some new, never-before-seen Martian technique to defeat him. Hinted at deeper powers for the guy previously known for his Oreos addiction.
The contrast was stark. Or consider the Extremists arc. These 5 Marvel villains expose thinly veiled analogs of Dr. Doom, Magneto, etc. from another damn dimension.
Right, the analogs.
But these guys weren't funny. They were hell-bent on killing as many people as possible, threatening Earth with nukes just for kicks. Real psycho shit.
Yeah, they were seriously fucked up. The League couldn't even beat them alone, right?
Oh, yeah.
You could tell from some Walt Disney ex-spy character.
Exactly. It was dark, high stakes, a genuine threat. And then they'd somehow flip back to some random nonsense in the next issue.
And of course, the ultimate example of this tonal shift. The Death of Superman crossover. Most of the JLI was left injured or powerless almost immediately when Doomsday showed up.
He just ran roughshod over them, like they were nothing.
Yeah, often with one hand tied behind his back, easily dispatching some of their heaviest hitters. It was a pretty damn dark crossover for such a lighthearted team. The contrast between their usual antics and this brutal, devastating threat was truly jarring. Fucked them up good.
The series also became known for its endless running gags and character quirks that cemented their personalities, made them feel like a real, if dysfunctional, family.
Like Animal Man. His powers let him mimic any nearby animal, but he could never find a useful animal to use with his powers in a fight. Constantly made him a butt monkey like Captain Marvel.
Yeah. Trying to fly like a bird, but there'd only be like a squirrel around. Pathetic and hilarious.
And Batman's disappearances were a classic. He always seemed to disappear when the group acted really crazy and mature.
Just couldn't deal.
One instance, he straight up left after just having the day's absurd events described to him by Beetle and Booster. Just like, nope, I'm out. I cannot deal with this bullshit. Vanished, leaving the others to their shenanigans.
Smart man. And the phrase, "Oh, no, not again." That was a frequent, almost required reaction from various characters, wasn't it?
Totally. Whether it was to Ice Dating Guy, or Batman trying to invade Soviet airspace again, or Booster and Beetle pulling another stupid stunt, it was just the constant state of glorious chaos.
But maybe the most iconic, enduring legacy of this run, the sound you instantly hear in your head when you think of this era.
The laugh.
The signature laugh, the BWAHAHA. The big booming laugh that punctuated their most ridiculous moments.
It became synonymous with this era of the Justice League, a testament to its unique brand of humor, a shorthand for the sheer joy and absurdity it brought to comics. Wahaha indeed.
Beyond the internal antics, the JLI, by its very name, was tangled in constant international incidents and diplomatic bullshit. Their UN sponsorship made them an officially sanctioned peacekeeping force.
IANSI, endorsed by the UN, granting them greater resources in exchange for regulation. Sounds official.
It led to them establishing worldwide embassies in places like Moscow, New York City, Paris, gave them a truly global presence.
Which also, predictably, led to numerous embarrassing accidents and diplomatic headaches. Because giving a bunch of superhero screw-ups diplomatic immunity is just asking for trouble. Pure fucked up potential right there.
Oh, absolutely. And talk about subverting expectations. That whole America saves the day trope completely flipped on its head.
Right. The JLI, as a UN team, actually fought the U.S. supergroup, the Conglomerate, when the latter tried to depose some Latin American dictator. Proved the UN's authority over national interests. Showed this wasn't just some American-centric team.
That was a bold statement back then. And the Europeans are kinky trope got played for laughs with Crimson Fox, the French hero, constantly trying to seduce Captain Atom. Yeah. And he, true to his American military or stoic trope, just remained completely unaffected, professionally oblivious to her relentless advances, hilariously uncomfortable.
And then there's the masterful deconstruction of surveillance as the plot demands. Remember the cat camera?
Oh God, yes. A villain organization, desperate for intel on the JLI, puts a camera in an ugly cat's eye at the embassy, thinking they'd get all the JLI's secrets.
But they spent months watching it, drinking water from the toilet, playing in the garbage, sleeping at weird places, trying to eat Blue Jay, etc., etc.
Talk about a fucked up return on investment. It's a brilliant commentary on how surveillance rarely yields what you expect, especially when dealing with a bunch of superhero screw-ups and a cat that just wants to live its best filthy life.
A perfect self-aware joke about comic book tropes. Genius. Hashtag tag the rise and fall of Maxwell Lord, the OG master manipulator.
All right, let's cut the crap and talk about the original asshole with a heart of gold, who then just became an asshole, Maxwell Lord.
Complicated guy. He was introduced as this charismatic millionaire entrepreneur who, right from the start, breached their security and initially manipulated the team into existence. Set himself up as their public spokesperson and liaison to the United Nations.
Their benefactor. But it sounded kind of shady from the word go, didn't it? Like, this guy is way too smooth. Something's off.
Totally. He was definitely crooked in his early days, always had an angle, but the sources emphasize with this surprising core of good-heartedness underneath.
And what's crucial to his early character, a massive early twist, is the reveal about the Metron computer. Remember that?
Vaguely. Refresh my memory.
It was revealed that Max Lord has been controlled by an evil computer named Kilge%, created by Metron of the New Gods. This computer aimed to take over the world and create a weakened league that would be vulnerable to alien invasion.
Whoa, okay, so Max was being puppeted?
Exactly. This was a huge, shocking twist. It absolved Max of much of his initial manipulative behavior, portraying him as a victim. Max, upon realizing this, destroyed it, even if that meant that he would die afterwards because the computer was keeping him alive.
Damn, that's heroic sacrifice territory.
It was a massive turning point where he truly learned to sincerely care about the team, a genuine redemption arc. Martian Manhunter even gives him a signal device as a token of his trust, after reading his mind and understanding his struggle.
So he wasn't always the bad guy. It's fascinating how nuanced his early years were. He was a complex character shown to constantly be fighting his natural instincts to manipulate and his growing conscience.
Right. He actually had metahuman powers, right? People puppets, a form of telepathic persuasion.
Yeah, but he hardly ever used it because it was really difficult for him and he found it morally repugnant. The first time he used it, he manipulated Blue Beetle without even knowing he had the power, just subconsciously.
Wow. Then he used it on Huntress to get her to join the League, realized it was wrong, and immediately let her go, apologizing profusely.
He even used it on a girl he liked, just to get her to talk to him, nothing more sinister. This was not the evil, cold-blooded Max Lord we'd come to know later. He was flawed, but genuinely trying. Seems like a good dude, deep down.
Unfortunately, that dark turn did eventually happen, and it was a monumental betrayal of his character. For many fans, it started in Countdown to Infinite Crisis. Max was abruptly turned into an evil villain.
Abruptly is right. Without much of the nuanced build-up that fans of his JLI portrayal would have expected, it felt forced.
Right.
Bullshit, really.
It was a significant shift, completely altering his established character, led him down a very dark, irredeemable path.
Yeah, that whole thing was some serious bullshit. It completely undercut all that character development. Then, in the OMAC project, he plotted against the superhero community as leader of Checkmate, this shadowy government organization.
He went full Bond villain.
And then the moment that still pisses me off, leaves a bitter taste. Blue Beetle, Ted Cord, his friend, discovered his plans and revealed them to the world, although Lord executed him in cold blood.
Shot him in the head, point blank.
What a complete gut-wrenching betrayal of their friendship, of the JLI's spirit, everything Ted stood for. That death was brutal, shocking, and deeply unsatisfying for fans of their hilarious dynamic. That was the moment Max Lord went from complicated to utterly irredeemable asshat. Fucked Up doesn't even begin to cover it.
It was shocking, definitive. Redefined him as a major antagonist, a true villain. His ultimate demise came when Wonder Woman eventually killed Lord to remove his telepathic hold on Superman.
Snapped his neck, right?
Yep. An act that was extremely controversial, a huge moral dilemma for Wonder Woman, but presented as a necessary evil to save Superman from Max's dangerous mind-controlling influence, prevent him from causing untold destruction.
Killing him. Rough.
Yeah.
But because comics, that wasn't the end of him. Oh, no.
Never the end in comics.
In Blackest Night and Generation Lost, Max Lord was, of course, resurrected. Because why not?
Black Lantern ring, wasn't it? Then fully resurrected later.
And Booster Gold, naturally feeling the weight of his best friend's murder, reassembled the team to hunt him down. Had to get justice for Ted.
And here's the kicker. Due to powerful telepathic manipulation, the JLI were the only people on Earth who remember his existence and his villainy. He'd psychically erased himself from everyone else's memory.
What? That's some next-level fucked up bullshit right there.
Right. Added another layer of mystery and urgency to their hunt, forced them to fight against a world that thought they were delusional. A bizarre yet compelling way to bring back a character so central to the JLI's history, even as a full-blown villain.
All right, so with all this chaos, all this comedy, all this human drama, it had to come to an end, right? All good things must, especially in comics, and boy did it ever.
Yeah, nothing lasts forever, especially not sanity in the JLI.
The Breakdown storyline. That was the grand finale of this incredible era. A 16-issue crossover between Justice League America and Justice League Europe. And it fundamentally changed the tone.
Big time. Shifted decisively from their signature humor to more serious and dramatic storytelling. The laughs were pretty much gone, replaced with real stakes and real heartbreak.
Yeah, the fun train derailed hard.
It was a culmination of everything that had been building, a tragic downturn after years of levity. Maxwell Lord, who had been complicated but generally good-hearted before his later villainous turn, he gets shot in an assassination attempt.
Right, I remember that.
And then, in a truly tragic turn for the character at that time, he gets possessed by Dreamslayer of the Extremists.
Oh, fuck. Dreamslayer, that creepy reality warper.
The very same. Dreamslayer, a powerful villain the League had faced before, then takes control of the entire team on Kui Kui Kui, the very island where Beetle and Booster tried to open Club JLI.
No, not Kui Kui Kui. That's like sacred ground for dumbassery.
Cruel twist of fate, right? Turning their haven of stupidity into a battleground for their very souls.
And then, tragedy strikes for real, hits hard. The Silver Sorceress, one of the JLI members, powerful magic user, she makes the ultimate sacrifice.
She dies defeating Dreamslayer and is buried on the island.
Damn. That was genuinely heartbreaking. A stark reminder that even in a superhero sitcom, the stakes were real. Heroes could and did die. A real gut punch that solidified the tonal shift. Made it clear this wasn't just fun and games anymore. Shit got real.
The fallout from breakdowns was immense, led directly to the ultimate team to solution. Despero, that classic, terrifying, three-eyed villain.
Oh yeah, Despero's back. Always bad news.
He wreaks havoc on New York City, escalating the chaos. To contain him, the sentient robot Elron is forced to take permanent control of Despero's body, essentially trapping himself inside his enemy.
Whoa, Elron did that. That's intense.
Yeah. And the United Nations, having finally had enough of the JLI's antics, the mounting incidents, the sheer unpredictability, they withdraw their support from the Justice League and it disbands.
Pulled the plug. Can't really blame them after all that bullshit.
Martian Manhunter, who had been their steadfast, long-suffering leader, seemingly takes a leave of absence from superhero duty, leaves a significant void. It was a truly tragic end to what was largely an incredibly lighthearted series.
Left fans wondering just what the future would hold for the Justice League as a concept. A really heavy note to end on after all the BWAHAHAs.
Yeah, the party was definitely over.
And let me tell you, the post-Giffen DeMatteis landscape, it was a bit fucked up. After breakdowns, DC tried to keep the momentum going, launched multiple new Justice League titles.
Oh yeah, Justice League America, Justice League Europe, which later got renamed Justice League International again, just to confuse everyone.
And Justice League Task Force. It was like throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping some of that JLI magic would stick again by sheer volume.
It was a scattershot approach, for sure, and unfortunately it didn't really work.
Nah. While some fans might have been initially excited, the unique shine, that irreplaceable chemistry of the original JLI team, it was gone.
By 1996, all those titles were canceled, low sales, the magic just faded, the jokes weren't landing the same way, the commercial success just evaporated.
Yeah, the vibe was gone. It took another visionary creator, Grant Morrison, to finally bring the Justice League back to genuine prominence with JLA in 1997.
Right, Morrison's run reunited the iconic Big Seven, or at least the Big Five and Two legacy character replacements like Wally West's Flash and Kyle Rayner's Green Lantern.
Basically restored the team to an all-star collection of heroes, kind of erased the memory of the post-JLI malaise. Back to basics, but epic basics. So after all that chaos, all that comedy, all that heartbreak, what's the real fucking legacy of the Justice League International? Because it went way beyond the pages, didn't it? Left an enduring impact on the whole superhero landscape for decades.
Oh, absolutely. This bizarre, hilarious, sometimes heartbreaking run laid the foundations for a whole new era of storytelling.
It definitively proved that the Justice League didn't always need the biggest names, the A-listers like Superman and Wonder Woman, to succeed and be impactful. It's a huge lesson, isn't it? They made gold out of, well, B-listers.
It truly is. It's chatty and self-aware tone. It's focus on character dynamics over grand cosmic threats. It directly influenced future successful Justice League runs and even other major titles outside of DC.
Like what?
Well, you can definitely see its DNA in Brian Michael Bendis' New Avengers. That famously brought together a more street-level, personality-driven team. Lots of banter, lots of interpersonal drama. Very JLI-esque.
Okay, yeah, I can do that.
And what's even more fascinating is its direct, undeniable influence on cinematic endeavors. Think about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, 100%. A bunch of assholes.
Exactly. That movie's massive success, the quirky, character-driven humor, the ensemble of lovable screw-ups, the found family dynamic in a superhero context, it absolutely owes a debt to the JLI's pioneering spirit.
It proved audiences crave that human element, that humor, even from cosmic heroes. That a team of oddballs can be far more endearing than a perfectly polished pantheon.
Nailed it. And that's the real core of it, isn't it? The human touch. Giffen and DeMatteis embedded that everyman problem right into the Justice League.
Yeah, they peeled back the curtain on these larger-than-life heroes to give readers a cast they could genuinely relate to. These weren't just gods walking the earth. They were screw-ups, friends, rivals, sometimes complete asshats, just like us.
They bickered, they had terrible business ideas, they got pissed off, they made mistakes.
James DeMatteis himself summed it up beautifully in his farewell letter. He said, the humor wouldn't work if we readers and creators alike didn't believe in these characters.
Right.
He said, these leaguers reminded me of the gang of friends I grew up with in Brooklyn, allowing him to drop the serious writer mask and just write for the sheer fun of it. That's the secret sauce right there. Authenticity, finding the human in the superhuman.
It truly is. And the JLI defied expectations in the most spectacular way. A genuine fuck you to convention. Given the strange and difficult circumstances of its creation, no big stars, against the grim and gritty trend, few expected JLI to succeed at all.
Seriously. The sources even state it was a genuine possibility that failure could have made the Justice League a forgotten relic of comics history.
Well, yeah.
Like the Justice Society had largely become by then.
Imagine that. But instead, through the creator's brilliant understanding of characters, comedy, and humanity, combined with Maguire's incredible art.
Incredible, expressive art.
It became one of the most defining series of a generation. It was, in essence, a genuine fuck you to convention, proving you don't need grim and gritty to be profound or relevant.
You could be funny, human, and still deliver real emotional punches when they count. It's an uplifting story in the history of comics, a real underdog triumph. From potential bullshit to brilliance.
And the JLI lives on, in spirit at least. We've seen it revived in Super Buddies, which reunited many originals for Hero for Hire stuff, doubling down on the humor.
Loved Super Buddies.
Generation Lost restored some original history, brought back the OGs to hunt down resurrected Max Lord, with a new Rocket Red and Blue Beetle stepping up.
Right, Oreos and Gavril.
Even the new 52 version of the JLI featured many of the same characters, though it also had its own fucked up moments, like Rocket Red's death by bomb and other members falling into comas. The chaos seems baked into its DNA, doesn't it?
Seems like it.
Yeah.
So what stands out to you thinking about how this weird, wonderful, often incredibly frustrating team came together and left such a mark? It's not just about the powers, is it?
Not at all. It's about the damn personalities, the friction, the loyalty, and all the glorious bullshit they got into.
Absolutely. This wasn't some polished, PR-perfect team designed by committee. These were superheroes who were allowed to be awkward, selfish, funny, and justice.
Human. Frankly flawed.
They were total screw-ups sometimes, made monumental mistakes, had personal problems, silly arguments, absurd schemes. But when the chips were down, they were heroes who genuinely cared about each other and the world. They were our screw-ups.
Yeah.
It's a testament to the idea that sometimes when you're handed a bunch of lemons and told you can't have sugar, you figure out how to make some goddamn potent moonshine. Or, you know, a legendary comic book run. Hashtag tag outro. So you've seen the chaos, the comedy, the heartbreak, and the sheer audacity of the Justice League International.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? If the fate of the world occasionally rested on a bunch of pissed off, hilarious screw-ups who occasionally fought giant Nazi robots or dealt with a mind-controlled alley cat, what kind of fucked up problem were you putting off in your own life?
Yeah.
What impossible task are you avoiding because you think you don't have the A-list tools?
That's a good question. This deep dive really makes you consider the power of embracing imperfection, doesn't it? If a team designed by committee, stripped of its biggest stars, forced into a comedic mold, could become nothing short of an unlikely masterpiece that influenced an entire genre. It raises an important question.
Which is,
where else might we find unexpected brilliance in the most unconventional, even chaotic places? Perhaps it's not in the perfect plan, but in the messy, unfiltered moments, the genuine personality, where true character and maybe true greatness is actually forged. Think about that for a minute. Think about where the bullshit in your life might actually be the good stuff.